Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Vivian Chen, author of the Noodle Shop Mysteries. Obligatory plug for today, Hot and Sour Suspects is what we're going to be talking about. This is book number 8 in the series, and it is the oddly shaped one. Although I recently found out that Walls of Books in Parma has the regular size. So that was exciting the first time that I ever saw that. So I have to first start by saying I am reporting in live from a brand new phone, a new stand dock tripod thing that I have a remote for, which I love. And I also have a new lip balm. I had to mention that because a lot of the ladies that follow me always ask about the lip products that I use. So I'm currently taking this one for a test drive. It is by a company called Romand, and I will let you know what I think once I'm done testing it out. Things are going really well, except for the technology thing. So just to briefly update you on that, my cell phone battery apparently was rotting from the inside out, and I'm also having problems with my Wi-Fi. Now, I thought that they were exclusive to me because I've had a lot of problems in the unit that I'm in with electronics. However, I was talking with a maintenance man that lives in a different building, and he actually mentioned he's having the same issue. And it seems to have stemmed around from that day. We had a 90-degree day in Cleveland, and it seems like ever since then, the Wi-Fi has not been acting properly. So it is still a thing. I do plan on contacting, the company again and saying, hey, like, what the heck? I need my internet service to work. So I do apologize for taking the week off. I had a little bit of a health scare that was a false alarm. I did a little bit of a post talk about it on my Facebook and, well, all of my social media, I think, except for here, actually. So basically what happened is I hurt my hip leg muscle, and I found a lump that is just muscle. It's a knot. And I immediately freaked out because of its location and went to the doctor the following day to find out that I had been worried for nothing. But this is the type of thing that happens when you are a cancer survivor. You do have, some lasting trauma that gets better as you go along. I've heard from some people that it potentially stays with you for the rest of your life. You're always kind of looking over your shoulder. I would, however, like to have a more positive viewpoint on that there will be a time that you've passed enough where you kind of just let it go. You've made your peace with everything. I am about 4.5 years out from my my last ovarian occurrence that was a recurrence. And I spoke with my doctor in recent times, and she said next year I'm hitting my 5-year mark. I won't have to, go to scans every 6 months anymore. So that's very exciting. I feel good, and that, should always be a sign to anybody struggling with that. When you start to get scared, think about how you feel. Are you really feeling bad? Sometimes this stuff just gets in our head, and we create the symptoms as we go along. So there's that little disclaimer. As you've noticed, I did not pull a winner for Fatal Fried Rice, and I kind of did that because I wasn't on top of my game, and I wanted to give people more time to watch that video and leave a comment if they chose to do so. I will pull it on May 29th, which is this Friday, and I'm going to pull 2 physical copy winners and still just 1 audio. So far, I haven't had any international takers, so I have been opening that up to, everybody else. Now, what I added in a comment of a post, I think I said it last week, if you win the audio copy, I am not eliminating you from winning a physical copy in the future giveaways, because I know a lot of people, it will be their first audiobook. You may not like that formatting. I know that for me, I am a physical copy person. So I want to give you an opportunity to still win. And also, like, you can share that code with somebody if that's not your jam. However, I do want to warn you that once that code is used, that's it. So whoever, whatever user has it on their library, you will not be able to then use that code again. I think that maybe some people may not necessarily realize that because a code's a code's a code. But in this situation, it's a one-time use only deal. I will pull the winner for Hot and Sour Suspect on June 5th. You always have until 12 p.m. Eastern that day to leave a comment. You must be a subscriber, and you must be a U.S. resident to win a physical copy. The international copy or the audio copy would go to an international subscriber. You must leave international at the beginning of your comment to qualify specifically for that. And when it's in, like, if I see like 5 international people or even 2, like, that's it. Like, it's between you two, not everybody. But if you don't say international, then it's open up to the whole crowd. And I have to thank you guys for your lovely comments again, because it puts me in this amazing space where I get to hear stories from you and how you relate to the Noodle Shop or to the things that I talk about, which is always nice, for somebody to feel seen and heard and all that stuff. So I appreciate you guys so much. The other thing I want to talk about, which you guys probably have seen already, and then there were Bun launch party. I am working with Walls of Books in Parma to set up that event for August 28th. It will be from 4 to 6 p.m. It's on a Friday. And the immediate wave of, oh my gosh, I'm booking my flight, I'm coming there, I'm driving from Virginia, I live in Florida, I'm going to try and be there, literally took my breath away. And I started to cry, like those little, like that little emoji that's got the water and size. That was me. You guys have to understand something. Like, I'm just a regular person, and as far as authors go, like, I'm lower on the totem pole. You know what I mean? Like, if you go to a random stranger and you say to them, do you know who Vivian Chen is? They're probably going to be like, no, who's that? If you go up to a random stranger and you say, have you ever heard of Stephen King? I don't know, other than my mom, I don't know anybody that doesn't know who Stephen King is. So if somebody were like, I'm flying from Oregon to Cleveland, Ohio to see Stephen King speak for an hour, I would that makes sense to me. But when someone says it for me, I'm like, me? I'm like, little old me? You're coming all this way for me? It truly blows my mind away. And it got me thinking, it got the wheels in my head turning. And I thought to myself, what if I did an after party? Like, we just go someplace after it's over. Probably, so like the signing or the talk and signing is from 4 to 6 p.m. So I'm thinking we have like an intermission in between. We would meet up at 7 p.m. at a location that I choose. I haven't decided what's going on yet because I'm still trying to see how much interest there is in this. So far, it's looking really good. So I'm thinking something like 7 to 10. Either at a local coffee house, a local bar. If there is no one willing to take us up on this, then there's a couple local party centers that I would be willing to check out and see like how much it would cost. Would it be reasonable? And I made a joke on my social media. I was only on USA Today bestseller 1 week, so I can't have like a gala event. But I would like to do that as something for the people coming out of town, and also just for everybody who's coming, period. That way you get to spend some time talking to me. We can kind of catch up. I can learn about you, and I will feel a little bit better about you coming all this way for me. The way that these talks and signings are usually set up is, it's 2-hour time slot. So I usually talk for about 30 minutes, and then I open up the floor to Q&A. After that, I sign books for the next hour. Now, to say that, I sign books for the next hour. I sign books until I'm done. I don't leave like, oh, my hour's done, I gotta go. You know, I always stay. However, it is very quick. It is, you are talking to me while I'm signing your book. You know, I may miss something if I'm concentrating on what I'm writing, and then you go on your way and that's it. And I feel like that's kind of like lackluster. So I really would like to do this after party event. It would give us a chance, even if at the party we only end up talking for like 10 or 15 minutes. I am thinking of like a local place. I'm in the process of procuring a DJ so that we have great music in the background. He's one of my absolute favorite local DJs, and I would love to just like promote him as well. So we have that on tap. And I'll provide more details as we go along and as I see what's going on. This is the very early stages of that whole thing. So if you have not commented on my social media yet about that particular topic, drop it in these comments here. That could be your talking point to win a book. The other thing that I wanted to say is Walls of Books is a smaller store. It is a local bookshop. So they have limited availability as far as room. Now, I do want to say that they have a Google form set up. I've left the link on all of my social medias, in the comments, in the posts, like a little link blurb. So sign up for it if you haven't. If on the chance that it gets, because I think there's something only like 70 seats that they can really do. If you run out of time or you run out of slots, right? Don't let that deter you. Leave me a comment someplace, in a mailbox, on a post, something, because I do want to kind of work in coordination with them that if we actually have that many people interested in coming, I would like to open the event up to everybody and potentially migrate to a location that's bigger. Walls of Books would remain my bookseller, and I would cover any type of cost for an event venue if that's needed. I always check with Cuyahoga County Library first to see if they could accommodate us, and then Walls of Books can just bring their stock to the store. Everything is very loosely decided at this moment. We've only put out the info over the weekend, and it's almost booked. So, from now until August, that's a lot of time to lose out on potentially people coming to a really fun event where we're going to have donuts and coffee and Asian snacks. And I'm going to also do some giveaways. They're not substantial giveaways. They're not necessarily book related. They may be Cleveland related. It's all going to depend on what I can put together in that time, because I am also having to work on writing. So, a lot going on. And as I mentioned in another video, like, I'm moving soon, but I do want to do a couple of giveaways, especially considering that there are people coming in from out of town. I'd love for you to have a chance to win something while you are here. And, as a Clevelander, we always want to show you a good time when you're in town. So that's all that. Now, let's get on to the book stuff. Okay. Hot and Sour Suspects is a lot for me. I am going to read the back cover, and then I have an author's note in it that I'm going to read to you. We will discuss both items, and then I will leave you to your day. So, yeah, these readers now, I'm telling you, my sister said to me, she was like, how many readers do you need? And I'm like, all of the readers. But you get them from the dollar store. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that big a deal. And what's funny is that even though I have all these readers, I still can't find them. They're like all over the place. So, all right. Little blurb at the top. At the Holy Noodle House, murder is on the menu. When Lana Lee's best friend Megan Riley asks her to help host a speed dating contest at Holy Noodle House, she doesn't see the harm in lending a hand. The night goes better than anticipated, and both Lana and Megan are beyond thrilled with the results. But before they can break out the champagne, Rena Sue, fellow Asia Village shop owner and speed dating participant, calls to inform Lana that the date she's just matched with has been murdered. Under suspicion of foul play, Rena enlists Lana's help in finding out what really happened that night. Without hesitation, Lana begins to dig into the man in question. To her dismay, she quickly finds that Rena's date has a rather unsavory past. There's a long line of slighted women, angry neighbors, and perturbed co-workers, all of whom seem to have a motive. As Lana continues to spiral down the treacherous path of scorned lovers and mistreated acquaintances, she can't help but dwell on how quickly an innocent evening filled with hope and positivity could turn so sour. When the media get in on the case, Lana must rush to find the killer before more dates turn deadly. Huzzah. And I matched today, you guys. Okay, so the first thing I want to say is sometimes when I'm reading the back cover, I kind of like stutter on some of the words. And the reason why is because in my mind, I already think it says something else. So that's what happens there. Okay, so let me read the inside author's note because it is very important to me. And also I dedicated this book to cancer survivors and fighters. And I said, here's to conquering all challenges that may come our way, both big and small. Like, I'm already getting emotional about it. This book means so much to me because I'm going to tell you that it carried me through such a rough time. All of my work, all of my writing has in some way impacted my life on a different level than just, this is a cozy mystery. You know, and I make jokes about it all the time and I say they're cute but murdery. You know, but truly, you know, it is my heart. So I'm going to read this thing to you, this author's note, because I feel like it's important. And I'm going to try and get through it without getting all blubbery. You guys ready? Okay. During the late summer of 2020, only a week after the release of Killer Kung Pao, I was diagnosed with stage 3 clear cell ovarian cancer. It was pertinent that I have surgery and begin chemotherapy treatment right away. To my oncologist's relief, the surgery was wildly successful and all traces of visible cancer were removed. Chemotherapy followed as a precaution. And while the rest of my life was put on hold, including my writing, I began a journey of unexpected outcomes. Not going to do it. In that time of healing, I was awed at the amount of support I was receiving from you, the reader. And it showed me a kindness and humanity that many are not privileged to see. For that, I am eternally grateful. Am I going to make it? We don't know. Okay. In March of 2021, I was given a clean bill of health, and I set out to restore some semblance of normalcy to my life. The book you hold in your hands became a sort of therapy for me. At first, it was slow moving, and I struggled to find the words that used to come so easily. But I stuck with it and battled chemo brain with everything I had. I began to lose track of time and reality as I delved back into Lana's world, a world without cancer, in a world without COVID-19, something I think we could all do without. But as I neared the end of the story, my health went in an unexpected direction, and the presence of cancer had returned. It was a devastating blow, but I wasn't about to give up this far in the game. Now it was more important than ever that I persevere. So I continued to chug along through the testing, the preparation for treatment, and finally the beginning of chemotherapy. As I write this to you now, I am undergoing treatment. All this to say, this book is a labor of love. It has followed me through dis-ease, restoration of health, and recurrence. It is one of the things that has kept me grounded through this whole process. I don't know where this book will find you in your life, but I hope it is filled with happiness and good health. If you find yourself struggling, I am here to tell you to keep going. No matter what the odds and no matter what anyone else tells you, believe in you, always. If I can do it, you sure as hell can. After all, I am just a little gal from Cleveland who had a really big dream. And though my health has wavered, that dream stands firm in my bones. Nothing will take that away. Not even stupid jerk-face cancer. Take care of you, my friends. You are all some kind of wonderful. Okay, you guys, I'm back. That took a turn really fast, didn't it? I am a very emotional person. I am an empath. I feel my feelings to the deepest parts of my soul. So that is why I get teary-eyed. Plus, you know, now that I was forced into surgical menopause, those emotions spring up a little bit easier than they used to. But I thank you for sharing that moment with me. You know, the book was very important, and it is still to this day very important to me. In the book, you see things start to shift because I start to shift as a person. Lana starts to become more brazen. She starts to become more unapologetically her. And I end the note of the book on a note that I feel strongly about, that I still do. You know, these things, they have meaning for me. It's funny because, you know, and I kind of talked about this at the beginning of the video. A lot of times I talk cutesy about my books, or, you know, they're cozy mysteries. I mean, the covers are fun, they're colorful, they're playful, right? In a lot of these cozy mysteries that people who don't read this genre don't realize that they actually do have a lot of depth. However, the depth is sprinkled through because we do have to keep it fun and lighthearted. So, you know, like the difference between like a James Patterson novel, right? A thriller, something that really gets you going. There's a lot of intense emotion involved. There's a lot of like, I can't wait to turn to the next page and I got to finish this book in a day. And you're like binge reading something, right? And the difference that I always say about cozies, that, I mean, it's not like a thing that I just say, but that is said, is the storyline is meant to take you on a ride, a puzzle. We give you pieces at a time. They don't know what's going on. You know what I mean? Like the characters, they don't know what's going on. They're figuring it out, and you're figuring it out side by side by side by side. Okay? And like in a thriller, like a lot of times you already know who the person is that did it. What you don't know is how, you know, the main characters of that story are going to push through, how they're going to, you know, come up with a successful outcome. So I take you on a ride. That's what I like. I like to tell a story. These books are very important to me. And I think that in the past, I've never truly stressed that or felt okay enough to say that. You know, and I make a lot of jokes at my own expense. I've always been a self-deprecating person, and I'm working on that. But I've always been a very self-deprecating person, and I kind of put down, you know, what I do is not that important. You know, and a beach read and like, oh, you know, have a fun afternoon. And yes, it is that for some people. And for other people, it's an escapism, and other people, it is deeper. For me, it is very deep. And, you know, I don't give myself a lot of credit. I put a lot into these books that is very sentimental, you know, and especially with this book. I've done it with all of my books, okay? Like every book that I've written has me in it expressing something that I want to relay that is outside of the storyline. I put it in there. Some people have caught it, especially like when there are parts I talk about the universe, or like, you know, I make a lot of jokes about superstition or, you know, any of those things. Like that's, I'm telling you that, you know, it's Lana is my mouthpiece in a sense of saying, and I think that goes for all writers, you know. These books mean a lot to me, and you know, beginning with this one and going forward is where I really start to unapologetically be myself. And on top of that, Lana is becoming unapologetically herself. She is not really concerned anymore with what anybody thinks, you know, and she falls back a little bit sometimes and she has to like check herself. And that's real, you know. When you change in your life, you're so programmed for old habits that sometimes you just fall back into a pattern of things. I feel like Lana really starts to say, like, this is what I'm doing with my life. You know, I'm running this restaurant. I'm going to run it like a boss. And I'm going to deal with these investigations. I'm going all in, you know, and you start to see less convincing that needs to be done from somebody else, from Megan, from Kimmy. You know, there's more. Lana's like, no, we're totally doing this. We're totally doing it. And I take it a step farther every book. I have loved every minute of this journey, even the hard ones. And there were a lot of hard ones. And, you know, my agent pulled me through a lot of it. She is like a second mom. I always tell her that, and even though she's not old enough to be my mom, because she's really not that much older than myself, but, you know, she's pulled me through, and she came with the mom vibes, and she came with, look, you have to ground yourself in something, and what better than your writing? And she would remind me to keep pushing forward, and like, these great things are going to happen. Just keep showing up every day. And I owe her a debt of gratitude that, you know, the kindness that I have seen in the world, like it exists, you know, and I feel like there is so much in this world, so much anger and divisive behavior and arguing, and no one is stopping to see the beauty in everything. And it's a shame, you know, and I've witnessed some really difficult times. And I never gave up hope that there is more, that there is better, and that you can overcome so much in your life if you only acknowledge your power. So that's how I feel about that. You guys, as far as like not getting teary-eyed during this video, it didn't happen. So I'm going to go because I feel like this has kind of turned into a TED Talk. And it has become less about the book. But before I go, actually, okay, I'm not going to go yet. I lied. Because I do want to talk about the story and drift away from the emotional aspects of that. It just, you know, I mentioned that in my car chat video, that I was really dreading doing this particular book because I knew that these emotions were going to come up for me. And there was a moment today where I almost talked myself out of doing it again. I'm like, well, your internet service is not that great. And how long is it going to take to upload the video to YouTube? Is it going to take another 67 hours? Because yes, that Fatal Fried Rice video took 67 hours to upload. Like, unreal. I even left. Like, I left my apartment, but my phone was corrupted, so that was why. But anyways, You know, when you are in company of an author, we are always thinking, we are always using things from our life that we see. You know, it's not necessarily us in the book, or it's not even the people that we meet, but it's the concept of, you know, what you experienced or some type of sentiment. And, you know, back in, well, it was before everything happened. So it was pre-2020. A friend of mine wanted me to go on a speed dating adventure with her. And I ended up refusing to go because I didn't want to pay the fee, to be honest. I don't like doing the elevator pitch thing. I don't. I don't want to try and sell myself to somebody in under 5 minutes. And I don't think that you can actually know anybody. You know, no disrespect to anybody who does speed dating or anybody who holds a speed dating event. It's not for me, is what I'm saying. And I thought about what kind of thing you could run into if you do it. I mean, what can you really know about somebody in 5 minutes? You know, you could spend 5 years with somebody and not even know them. So like 5 minutes, but the wheels started to turn with that one, and I was like, well, what would happen? Like, you couldn't meet anybody. They could charm you in 5 minutes, tell you whatever you want to hear, and then you make a date to go with this person, and then something not that great happens. So I wanted to explore that idea, and no better way to explore that idea than through the Noodle Shop. I had a lot of fun with this one. I poke a lot of jokes at modern dating because, as modernized as I am, I do have some old-fashioned values. And I also think that modern dating is bizarre. The way we interact with each other, the way that we meet each other is very odd. But it is modern times, you know, and we do a lot of things online. There's tons of dating apps, you know, and I've done all of it, you know, and you don't know, you know, you swipe right. For anybody that doesn't know about online dating, you know, because I know I have a lot of older readers who are like, I have been married this whole time and I've never even seen one of these. So, you know, there's somebody's picture on the screen, and if you swipe right, that means you accept them and want to move forward in some capacity, talk to them, exchange photos further, or whatever. If you swipe left, that means that you don't want to talk to that person, and then they get eliminated from the pool of people. So, you know, I mean, you swipe right, you take a chance, especially in this day and age, because now there's so much technology where people are, you know, putting photos up that are not them or AI generated. You don't know if somebody's real, and you don't know if what they're telling you is even true. There used to be this app, and they got rid of it for some reason. There was this app where you could type in somebody's phone number, and it would give you their legal background. It would tell you if they've ever been arrested or anything. So you know, this was like so many years ago, like 2017 or something like that. I actually got into the dating apps because of my boss at the time. She was freshly single and she wanted to do the app with somebody so she didn't feel like she was doing it alone. So I did it with her. And it was a very interesting experience because I was introduced to a lot of the, you know, these things that I didn't know about. But, you know, so I swiped right on this person and they said something that kind of triggered me. I was like, this doesn't sound right. So I used their phone number and I put it into the app, and I found out that they were actually like writing fraudulent checks. They had gone, you know, they had served time for that. And, I was like, okay. So I immediately stopped talking to that person. And after a while, something happened to that app and I couldn't get onto it anymore. So you know, I don't know if there's anything else like it now. You know, for any of my female readers, and I say that not to discredit the males. It's not about that, but I feel that it's potentially stronger for women. I know that men have gotten catfished before as well, but ladies, do your due diligence and be careful out there. There is a lot of crazy stuff that goes on, and you need to protect yourself at all costs. I think that people find women more vulnerable, so I think that that's why they're targeted easier. You know, men have a different stereotype that they go by, and I think that there are less scammers that are doing it in the reverse. However, I will say this for the gentlemen, be careful as well, because sometimes there are other men stalking men, you know, and like you think you're going to meet a woman at a bar and there's some dude waiting for you. I mean, this stuff has really happened, you guys. They have a ton of podcasts and videos about it on YouTube, and there's also a ton of documentaries on Hulu that talk about this exact thing. So just everybody be careful, but especially ladies, you don't want to get caught unawares, you know, especially if this guy is like way bigger than you are. But so I talk about a lot of the dating tropes in here. And it was a very interesting book for me to write while I was going through what I was going through, because, you know, I had no interest in dating at all. Like while I was going through my cancer journey, I'm like, I don't want to deal with this. But in some ways, I feel like maybe that helped me write the book from a more objective angle, you know? So there's that. But I hope that you guys enjoyed today's talk. It was very emotional. Thank you for bearing witness to that. I feel that it has been a long time coming. Because like I said, I've never really spoken on this book. I couldn't do any talks on this book at all because I was going through treatment. And by the time I got back out on the road, this book was already, you know, down the line. So I'm glad that I got past it. And I do feel a little bit lighter now that I got it out of my system. So there's that. Don't forget all the other stuff that I told you guys at the beginning of the video, because we've been on a journey today. So June 5th will be the cutoff date for this, 12 p.m. Eastern. Leave a comment. If you want to share your story of survival, please feel free to do so. And just so you know, if any of you are watching this right now that are cancer survivors or fighters, just know that I am cheering for you forever and always. You are my sister, my brother. You know, take care of yourself and just know that you are strong and you can beat anything that comes your way. And also, if nobody told you today, my goodness, you look freaking fantastic.